CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Pastrana and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. We begin with breaking news. Israel and Hamas have reached a ceasefire deal to pause the war in Gaza. The agreement includes the release of hostages taken by Hamas, including Americans. CBS News Miami's Remy Inocencio reports from Tel Aviv.
Celebrations on the streets of Gaza with word of a breakthrough deal after 15 bloody months of war. Negotiators in Qatar announcing a ceasefire and hostage release agreement between Israel and Hamas.
And this deal will bring us peace, hopefully, at the end of it.
As soon as Sunday, Hamas could begin handing over Israeli hostages to Israel, bringing new anticipation among friends and families in Tel Aviv's hostage square. President Biden claimed the success.
This is the ceasefire agreement I introduced last spring.
In the deal agreed, phase one would last 42 days, with Hamas releasing 33 hostages, including women, the elderly, and sick. In exchange, Israel would set free dozens of Palestinian detainees for each. Israel would also pull back to Gaza's perimeters, and humanitarian aid would start flowing again, something civilians in Gaza have been desperate for. In phase two of the agreement, another 42 days, Hamas would release the remaining hostages, alive and dead, with the focus shifting to rebuilding Gaza and who will govern it in the future. This brutal conflict was sparked by Hamas-led invasion of southern Israel on October 7, 2023. More than 1,200 were massacred, more than 250 others kidnapped and taken into Gaza. In retaliation, Israel's military has obliterated much of the tiny strip in its avowed goal to destroy Hamas. But after 466 days, more than 46,600 men, women, and children have also been killed, says the Hamas-run health ministry, with thousands more believed buried under the rubble. Remy Inocencio, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
And taking a live look outside right now after a cool start, we had a sunny warm-up. Next weather meteorologist Shane Hinton is here, and he's tracking some changes for us. Shane, today looks better than yesterday, gotta say.
I agree with you there. You know what? I did like my nice little walk through the parking lot. It felt really nice outside, but we do have some changes on the way. If you have any plans this evening, it's going to be a fairly mild one for us, and even a seasonable into the work week, so average for this time of year. However, as we get closer to the weekend, we are tracking some increases in rain chances, and also a warming trend that's going to be impacting us for Saturday and Sunday. Right now, like Lauren and I said, it does feel pretty nice out there. Lower 70s across all of South Florida, just beautiful skies with a few fair weather clouds. Tomorrow, you're going to expect even more clouds. It is going to get a bit on the cloudier side for us, with maybe a few isolated showers kind of embedded within those clouds. We're going to see a slight temperature dip, mostly just due to the fact that the cloud coverage is going to block the sun. Now, as we make our way toward Friday, some of our forecast models have been hinting at a more active Friday for us overall, with now roughly about a 30% chance for some showers and maybe even a few isolated rumbles of thunder. And on Saturday, that's when things dry out a little bit, but our temperatures will start to trend a little higher, closer to that 80-degree ballpark, and even warmer than that on Sunday. Now, we will be seeing our next cold front arriving on Sunday. Right now, it looks to be timed out around Sunday evening, and as that front moves through, it could spark up a few isolated rain showers as well. So as we take a look at your rainfall chances, you'll see our highest rain chances are actually going to be for Friday for the rest of this week. Now, we will see some isolated weekend showers and then maybe even another round of rain for the middle of next week, but that's still too far out. I really want to kind of focus in on our next best rain chances, which will be Friday. So let's walk you through what we can expect as we head into the evening. It's going to be a fairly quiet one. The forecast models are hinting at the potential for an isolated sprinkle tomorrow morning. I don't think that's going to be impacting your morning commute, so you'll be good to go. We are also not concerned with fog like we were previous mornings this week, so you should have a fairly clear commute, rainfall and fog-wise. Now, as we make our way throughout the day on Friday, look at this. You can see a lot more scattered in nature, so we'll have to keep our eyes and our umbrellas peeled and ready for that. Temperatures tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up in the upper 50s to lower 60s, maybe a tad warmer in the Keys. Walking you through the day tomorrow, temperatures will be peaking in the lower 70s just after lunchtime. For the afternoon highs, lower to mid 70s area-wide, which is just in the ballpark of average. Now, we will eventually get above average for the weekend, and as we look ahead to Martin Luther King Jr. Day, only a 20% chance for an isolated shower with highs in the mid 70s.
Shane, thank you. Now to the Trump transition. All eyes on Capitol Hill this afternoon as two Florida natives appeared in separate Senate chambers for their confirmation hearings. Senator Marco Rubio was nominated to be Secretary of State, and Pam Bondi was nominated to be Attorney General. A half dozen of President-elect Donald Trump's picks to head up his administration are answering senators' questions as part of their confirmation process, including his pick to be U.S. Attorney General and Secretary of State. CBS News Miami's Natalie Brand has the latest from Capitol Hill.
At her confirmation hearing, President-elect Trump's Attorney General pick, Pam Bondi, made this promise about leading the Department of Justice.
Politics will not play a part.
Democratic senators pressed the former Florida Attorney General, who also represented Trump during his first impeachment trial, on her independence.
You'd be willing to resign if ordered to do something improper.
If anyone asked me to do something improper, and I felt I had to carry that out, of course I would not do that.
And she was asked about President-elect Trump's pledge to pardon January 6th defendants.
Let me be very clear in speaking to you. I condemn any violence on a law enforcement officer in this country.
Bondi's confirmation hearing is one of 6 Wednesday. Secretary of State nominee Marco Rubio testified about what he views as one of the greatest threats to the United States.
If we don't change course, we are going to live in a world where much of what matters to us on a daily basis, from our security to our health, will be dependent on whether the Chinese allow us to have it or not. That's an unacceptable outcome.
Rubio was also asked about Trump's interest in taking control of Greenland and the Panama Canal.
The Chinese basically have effective control of the canal anytime they want, because if they order a Chinese company that controls the ports to shut it down or impede our transit, they will have to do so.
In another hearing room, John Ratcliffe made a case to lead the nation's top spy agency.
Collecting the truth, intelligence, critical information, so that American people can be free. Their freedom and liberty are dependent on the CIA doing that job and doing it in an apolitical way.
The flurry of hearings tees up the Senate to start voting on confirmations as soon as Trump takes office. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The Cuban government began releasing political prisoners today, a measure in response to the negotiations with the Biden administration. Many in the Cuban American community are not only condemning the agreement, but they have serious doubts about who will be released and under what conditions. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor has reaction.
Members of a Cuban American organization in South Florida tell me they will always be in favor of the release of political prisoners in Cuba. However, they also tell me that they're having serious doubts of who is released and under what conditions. And that was addressed today at a press conference from the Cuban Democratic Director in Miami. Over 30 representatives from different organizations condemned the decision of the Biden administration to remove Cuba from the list of countries sponsoring terrorism, which is the premise to get the release of more than 550 political prisoners in Cuba.
We're in the process of confirming that what they're saying is true, because we've had the experience, for example, in the Obama administration, where they announce a massive release and it really doesn't happen. They haven't mentioned political prisoners in their statement. They're talking about prisoners. So we don't know what exactly they're doing.
Coming up at 5 p.m., if negotiations between Washington and Havana, which the Vatican was also involved, entail the release of political prisoners, why is this not clear now? Stay tuned. CBS News Miami at 5 p.m. I'm Yvonne Taylor from Northeast Miami. Back to you.
Miami Mayor Francis Suarez delivered his final State of the City address.
It has been my privilege to be in a position to tell Miami's story for a third of my entire life. I appreciate you all listening to it, listening to me tell it one last time. I began my journey in public service facing a fiscal emergency. I continue it by executing on a bold vision for the next 300 days. Thank you, Jose.
Suarez also talked about some of his mayoral achievements that he's most proud of, including reduced crime rates, cutting property taxes, and helping the city out of bankruptcy. He then outlined his vision for the city's future, including investing funds for affordable housing projects, farm share, homeless outreach, and restoring the former Miami Marine Stadium. When we come back, a group of experts says using body mass index to decide who's obese is not the way to go. See what they say doctors should focus on instead. Welcome back to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Now to the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles. New video this afternoon shows the dramatic firefight from above. You can see the aerial water drops as flames approached homes. Fire danger remains high in parts of Los Angeles today, threatening to potentially add to what the governor there says could be the costliest disaster in U.S. history. CBS News Miami's Danya Backus has more from the FEMA Disaster Recovery Center.
Dramatic images above the wildfires ravaging Los Angeles. Low humidity and strong winds have further dried out the brush, increasing the fire risk.
The danger has not yet passed, so please prioritize your safety.
Conditions are expected to improve later this week. Residents who've lost homes and property are urged to register with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which has received more than 53,000 applications for help and distributed $12 million in basic needs. This FEMA Disaster Recovery Center is helping residents who've lost vital records like birth certificates and Social Security documentation. They can also file relief applications and even receive mental health services.
We want parents to know that we're here to support their whole family, and people of all ages can come and get support from us.
We have task force. Search and rescue teams are methodically combing through charred properties damaged in the Eaton fire.
Looking for hazards, possibly searching for any victims that may not have made it out of the fire.
First responders working that fire are camped out at the famous Rose Bowl Stadium, setting up a tent village in the parking lot. Volunteers are feeding breakfast to National Guard members assigned to the Palisades fire.
We want to help, and that's what we do. We mobilize the community to help.
For those doing harm, law enforcement made more arrests overnight with ongoing looting concerns. Authorities released this video of trespassers inside an evacuated home in Mandeville Canyon.
The rules haven't changed. If you don't belong there, you don't live there, stay out of there.
A curfew remains in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the affected areas. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And you can join CBS in helping those affected by the wildfires. Just scan this QR code or go to redcross.org/CBS. Your donation enables the Red Cross to provide shelter, meals, and relief items to help people recover from these disasters. In today's Health Watch, there are new recommendations to measure obesity, and it may be welcome news for some people previously classified as obese. A report published in the journal Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology, it focuses on body fat and what medical issues people have, not just their weight. Instead of just using body mass index as a way to diagnose obesity, the authors want BMI to be a first step to determine who should be tested for excess body fat.
What we're trying to do is use still the BMI as a first pass screening tool, but then really drill down on who is at risk for medical complications from being overweight or obese.
If the guidelines are widely adopted, it's expected some doctors may treat fewer people for obesity. And that's CBS News Miami's Quickcast. I'm Lauren Pastrana. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS Miami.